Well, and I love that. And I what you were saying about your own story, and I keep thinking about like the roadblocks people might be facing. And you
Mm.
kind of answered the question I was going to ask is like, what do you tend to see people's roadblocks and not moving past that part of their story? But it's also the superpower that you have. And so, what
Yeah.
would you say to that person?
Yeah, I call it defenses or hiding, and I wrote down 4 that we kind of talk about if we could simplify all roadblocks into 4. I'd say 1 is a fear of dependency. So I don't want to count on you. That's definitely my challenged area. If I'm going to close down, it's going to be because I don't want to need you. You're kind of a hassle. Relationships are a hassle. Self-sufficiency is clear and straight. So kind of a fear, even though I'm not aware of it, it's just I have a general fear of depending on you. I don't want to get dropped on my head.
Hmm.
We're talking relationally here. The second one is probably abandonment and just a kind of a deep rooted fear you're going to leave me. So I'm not going to be who I am or really connect with you in the way. The third, Dr. Townsend, I chose the word failure, just like a fear of doing it wrong and you knowing I'm a little weak and feeling the rejection of, I can't do it perfect, so I'm not going to try. And you're not perfect, so I'm not going to try. So kind of this disqualifying attitude. And then the last word I chose, inferiority, just feeling like I'm either in charge of the world, I'm above everyone, and having that kind of a cocky attitude, or helpless. And so those are the big 4. If I were to have your listeners think about, where do I tend to close off and shut down my growth, I would choose those based on the model I worked on. I think they cover a
It's awesome. Yeah, Kristen, what are your thoughts on that?
I think it definitely, you've talked about identity. We've talked a lot about limiting beliefs, and that goes into that idea of the limiting beliefs. And it's amazing. I think those things that you just mentioned are so much a part of our own stories. And so it's so easy because we have reminders, we have memories of these things actually happening. And so it makes sense that those would be roadblocks because we've experienced them. And so I know
yes,
for me, experiencing some of those roadblocks you've talked about, abandonment, um, being
yeah,
able to trust, being able to trust that, replacing it with truth. And I think that's something we've talked about in growth. So when you talk about those
yeah.
limiting beliefs and you replace it with truth, that's where you can actually see that growth start. Um,
I think we think beliefs are true and we need to challenge them. Sometimes they are true, but beliefs are our experiences. They're built onto our experiences. Truth is more objective. It's provable. And so the thing I believed about me, it's up to me, was not true. I did believe it for a very long time, but it wasn't true. It was inaccurate. It was incomplete. And so, yeah, let's make sure we divide belief from truth and not let them pretend that they're the same thing. Beliefs need to be challenged.
I love that. And one of our episodes, we talked about something John had mentioned, the observant self versus the harsh judge and that whole thing. And so I found that to be so helpful of
Yes.
you've got these beliefs and what's true, and then also what's our role in the limiting beliefs and how do you tell
Yeah.
the difference?
And kindness, because we have those beliefs because they were necessary to survive. And so we don't want to torture ourselves about it or have great regret. It's more we just want to outgrow it. So in kindness, it leads us to change.
I love that.